This is the Artig Game Table. This one is too, but don't worry, we're going to talk about both tables. That's right, this is the Game Tables by Artig. You can go to artig.live to find out more. There'll be links down in the description below and in the pinned comment. And we want to start off this video by saying that Artig is sponsoring the Brothers Murph. We received these tables as payment for this video and for sponsoring us as a whole. So we do want to put that out front that we did not pay for these tables, that they were given to us for sponsorship services. So please keep that in mind as we go through these tables and talk about them. So how we're going to do this video is that we are going to talk about both of the tables. I will say that the tables are 90% the same, but we still will talk about both tables. We'll go over the features of the tables, all the different kind of stuff that they have, the way they're built, all those kinds of different things. And then we'll talk about Artig as a whole, as there are some specific things that made us want to work with Artig as opposed to some other table company. No shade to any other table companies, but we really like Artig, and there are some specific reasons why other than just the tables. Also, I got a sweatshirt and I freaking love merch. So let's go ahead and start with some dimensions. The table is basically 4 feet by 6 feet. It's 1 inch shorter either way. And then the vault here is 3 feet by 5 feet. Again, 1 inch shorter either way. And that is an amount in the metric system. This table right here is their dining room height table. So this is a sitting table, or the table can come counter height and you can get some nice high stools or some high chairs, or do what we kind of do. And we actually usually just stand at this table. They have a pre-routed out bits holders in here, and they also have card rails in all of the sides. And the cup holders, you can see, are right here in the rails. And for us, all of those things being in the rail is actually kind of a big deal. Mike and I are not a fan of tables that have attachments along the side, as we feel like they just get in the way more than anything else. Like, I think they're very cool in concept, but I actually think they're like relatively impractical. You know how to speak English, Nick. I like them right here because I feel like also if I want to grab a drink, it's just very, very natural to do it here. Whereas if it's like here, you have to like grab it like back from here, and I don't know, we've just always really liked them here. Our old table had that too, and we really, really prefer it. And so we're glad that everything is in the rails as opposed to being off to the side, where I actually think it's a lot easier to bump. You also know that Mike and I are constantly drinking coffee when we're filming, and so it's also nice to have a nice big rail that you can just put a coffee cup down. It's just way easier. There are 6 of these card trays slash little bit holders, and there are 8 different cup holders on here, so this thing can comfortably sit 6 or maybe even more people. There are 2 available game mats featuring beautiful photography. There's this one with the northern lights, and then this one with the beautiful starry sky. Now, I do want to say that Artig is a relatively new company, so these are the only 2 mats available right now, but I would assume that more will be made available in the future. For instance, I know they're in the process of R&D'ing another table size. Right now, there's only this one available. We have a couple different heights. They're working on a table topper, which we actually have a prototype of, which we'll show off a little bit later, but just know that this is a new company, so more stuff is going to be on its way. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nick Murphy, I watch every single one of your dang videos, and I've never seen these mats, yet I've seen these tables already in your videos. Where's the felt mat? Well, on the back side, you can choose to have a reversible mat where they will attach felt to the back of this, so you can have a more neutral, just kind of more plain mat, which personally for us is very useful because we are filming on these, and when we're showing off games, we want them to be, the game to be as clear as possible, not have other stuff going on that might distract it. Now that's much more of a content creator problem than like a normal human problem, but nonetheless, you can get the mats reversible and they'll just have plain felt on the back, and that can kind of give you some more options. Now, the astute observer may have noticed that our 2 tables have 2 different vault depths, and that is because these vaults are adjustable. You can have it at the deepest vault depth, which is this one right here, which is 2 inches, 2.75 inches. You can bring it up to 2 inches and then all the way down to 1.25 inches or 1.25 inches. You may have also noticed that there's not any kind of like wheel crank that you've maybe seen on other tables, and no big motor that moves the vault up and down. You have to do it yourself, and it's not adjustable. Like, I can't just adjust it right now. And we're actually okay with that. Artig has the viewpoint that we actually agree with, that those kinds of like big wheels and like even motorized ones that move them down are very cool, but are kind of like really unnecessary, because yes, having different vault types is very, very nice. But like for the most part, you're only gonna change your vault height realistically probably a couple times a year. Or maybe you're a gamer who changes it all the time, I don't know. But at least I know that we will basically find a vault height that we like and we will just never ever change it. So having something super adjustable isn't actually that useful, and it's just kind of an expensive gimmick. It's a cool gimmick, of course, but it's expensive and ups the price of the table by a lot when there's actually a simpler way to just do it. And having an adjustable vault for us was really important because Mike and I have found over the years that purely personal preference, we don't actually really like playing in a vault. A vault this deep is as deep as we ever want to go, but on the table that's in the playthrough that we film on a lot, you will notice that that one is really high up. It's actually at the highest it can be, and it's going to stay there because that is where Mike and I really like it, but it is nice to be able to move it up and down. Let's now talk about the kind of construction of the table and how you'd put it together, and in that we'll also talk about how you move the vault up and down. So without the mat, the vault looks like this. It's big, heavy, I believe MDF, and it's broken down into two pieces that lock together underneath. It's broken down into two pieces because to move the vault up and down, you're gonna have to take this vault part out and put in some spacer pieces. Let's take a look under the table. One of the best parts about having a counter height table is that you can get underneath and pretend like you're some weird cave goblin. So the table is supported by these four legs, which are nice, solid metal and aren't really gonna go anywhere. They're connected to the main table through these bolts right here, and they're very easy to put in. Sometimes the legs of a game table are insanely hard to get in, and these ones aren't. So the vault is held together by these little locks right here, so all you have to do is bring it out like that, and then you can start moving it around. Now granted, this doesn't have the vault in it, but they are decently light for being like a pretty big table. We also put little carpet sliders on ours, and it makes it super, super easy to move around, which for us is actually really important because we need to constantly move our tables around because we're filming in here. Now the table's all weird and naked. You might be wondering how you bring the vault up and down. You do that with these simple little spacer blocks. These simple blocks are just leftover wood from the table build, and Artig put these little magnets in them, and they will be going in the corners and on the sides here. There's one here, one right there, and then one in each corner. And this is how you adjust the height. It's very, very simple. It's just simple and easy. So basically, if you want it at the lowest height, you just put the boards, the vault boards, directly onto here, and that's the lowest height. If you want it to be that middle height, you're gonna go ahead and just put these in here like this, and then they're gonna rest on those instead, and that's going to bring it up 3/4 of an inch. If you want it even higher, you are going to put it up like this, and that's going to bring it up another 3/4 of an inch. That's it. That's how simple it is. And they put these little magnets on them, and there's magnets right here that you can see so that they stay in place. You don't really need that, to be completely honest. The weight of the table is going to keep it there, but nonetheless, it's a nice thing to keep them from sliding around. So if you want to higher, you go boom, boom, all the way around, put the vault back in, and now your vault is adjusted. So now that we talked about customizing the height of your vault, let's talk about customizing some other stuff, like the things that you can put in the rails. We had them put our logo here, of course, the Brothers Murph, if you didn't know. And you can have them put anything. They've put family crests, they've put family names, really anything you want, they can go ahead and put it in here, and they have an epoxy putty that they put in here to make it stand out. It sounds out really, really nice against this walnut here, but they can really customize stuff like this however you want. On top of being able to put some epoxy on the top here and doing like a logo or a family crest or whatever, they also have drawers they can put in here, and these just pop open, they're magnetic, and then you can kind of keep whatever you want in here. Like we always keep these in here. You can have pens, different things like that, and they can also customize the inside. So again, they can do anything you want, but we just had them write Murph in all of the drawers because we just thought, why not just have Murph on there? And naturally, with one of these game tables, we gotta have some LEDs. Oh yeah, baby. These come with LED strips. They are right inside here. They actually have a little bit of a lip, so they're not right at the line here. They're actually a little bit back, which I think is actually really nice because it keeps some of the light from just splashing up, which doesn't need to happen. And the good thing is even if you have the vault at the highest level, which is what this is right here, it still sits below the LED line. It basically goes right up to it, so you can still use the LEDs even if you want basically no vault at all. And of course, you can change the colors, including just like pure white. You can have it oscillate through them like that, but come on, it just looks so cool. Now, what if you want to keep a game underneath here and you want to put some food on top of this for dinner, well, they also have a topper. Now, I do want to say that these toppers are very new. They are still, this is actually just a prototype, so certain things have already changed from this prototype, so just know that. It's a relatively new thing, but this is something that they now offer. So the topper is going to be an actual topper. It's going to sit on top of the table here, and they have things in here to keep it from moving around. So they have these pads here to not damage the top of the table. They also have these kind of rubber bumpers, and those are going to sit on the inside here and keep them from moving back and forth. So you just put it next to the other one there, get it in there, and now it can't move back and forth. So I brought up those little rubber stoppers because for us, that's actually kind of a really big deal for a topper like this. Because it sits on top, you need to make sure it's not going to slide off and move around. You know, this is moving because of the sliders on the bottom of the table. The last table we actually had a topper for it, and you never ever saw it because there was nothing keeping these two middle pieces here. And so if you leaned against it, it would just slide off. There was nothing keeping it there. The corner ones would, but these ones would just slide all over the place, and it was basically like unusable, completely unusable. So the fact that this doesn't do that is actually like a really big deal. Okay, so that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the table. That's how it's, made, that's the dimensions, how these various kind of things work, the knickknacks, the cool things you can get. But let's go ahead and talk about, I guess, why we partnered with Artig and why we partnered with them. One, and again, this is a sponsored video, so take this for how it is. We really like the tables. We honestly really, really do. We wouldn't have partnered with them if we didn't like the way they looked, see if they functioned well. We really have been enjoying playing on them a lot, honestly. And yeah, we just really, really like them. Also, Artig shares a lot of our views on things that we generally like when it comes to these kinds of things. Let me explain. So one of the main things is that they want their stuff to look like wood. Their wood looks like wood? It's like, I feel like a lot of like mass-produced stuff, which this stuff isn't, it's made to order and stuff. I think a lot of it, they try and like hide like things like knots, things like kind of funky wood grain, but it's like, but that's what wood is. That's what trees are. Trees don't grow in like uniform ways. And to me, this is the most beautiful part of wood, is the wood grain, is the fact that like so much of the wood will look so different, even if it's from the same tree. And so the fact that like all this wood is like highlighted instead of hidden, just from a purely aesthetic point, is kind of a big deal to us. They use Danish oil as a finish, which is kind of like a mix of different oils, but mostly what it does is it brings out the grain, it brings out the natural color and texture of the wood and highlights it instead of hides it. It's also completely refinishable. So if you down the line wanted to put a different finish on it, wanted to stain it, do whatever you want to it, please don't stain walnut, it's so pretty like this, don't stain it. But unless if you wanted to, you could just sand the whole thing down and refinish it. Some of the tables we had in the past, we really didn't like the finish on them. This one is simple. It's just nice and satin. It just looks beautiful. It looks natural. It looks like wood. There are also 4 different types of wood that you can choose from. You can choose maple, red oak, cherry, which is this one, or walnut, which is the one we just saw. So now let's talk about one of the main reasons we want to work with Artig, other than the fact that we really like their tables. The main reason is because they're very environmentally conscious, and they always want their tables made in a sustainable way with sustainable wood. When they first contacted us to work with us, they basically told us that pretty much all the wood that they use in their tables is destined for a bonfire. And what that means is that they're not going to be going down cutting down trees for the tables they make for you. The vast majority of the time, the wood that they're getting is from trees that have either been taken out for some other reason or have fallen over due to storm damage. For instance, this table right here, this walnut tree came down in a storm. They were able to get it, they milled it up, and now it's right here in this table. And this entire table is made out of one tree. So again, talking about wood, the variation in the wood is beautiful, but it's all part of one tree. And that to us is a really, really big deal. Board game tables are a luxury product. They're a luxury product for a very luxury hobby. No one needs a board game table. No one needs board games. So if you're gonna be doing something like this, getting something like this, we personally wanna make sure it's done in a sustainable way, it's done in an environmentally conscious way. That kind of stuff is really, really important to us, and we're really hyped that Artig feels a similar way. It was kind of one of the first things we're like, man, okay, cool, maybe we do want to work with these people. They're based out of Minnesota, and they're going to tell you exactly where your tree came from. So as we said, this one came down in a storm, so this is from storm damage. It came down anyway. We might as well use it to make a table. And our other table, the cherry table, is all made from one tree, and that tree got taken out by the city because they were making more room for, I think, a new building on their main area, and they had to take out a couple trees. Those kinds of things happen, and they were able to get it for that reason. So again, we just think it's really, really cool that you're going to know where your tree came from. You're going to know why why it was used for your table. They're not just going around cutting down trees and using them for tables. It's gonna come down for another reason. They're just gonna happen to get that wood and then use it for something like this. And they're all about reusing stuff and trying to use every part of the tree. So these little blocks right here, these are cherry blocks from this same tree, and these are just off cuttings. So basically you need to cut this down to a certain length. Oh, we have this little bit of extra, chop it up and make these out of it. You're like, oh, this isn't square, this is cut at an angle. Where did this triangle go? They're right here. They're literally right here underneath the table. The sawdust that they get from making all of these things they use in their barbecue smoker. Because of course they do. We just think it's really cool and it made us want to work with them that much more. Honestly, the people at Artig are just really nice people. We've really enjoyed working with them. They actually came out and delivered our tables from Minnesota, and Brian, the person who mostly runs Artig, is super, super nice. His wife is really, really amazing, and they have the cutest freaking dog, which does have to do with tables, but nonetheless, it made us like them more. So all those things are why we wanted to partner with them and why we were down with them becoming like the exclusive table supplier for the Brothers Murph. We really like the tables. They're really nice, wonderful people. And yeah, it just seemed to work. So that is gonna be it. Those are the Artig game tables. Big, big shout out to Artig for sponsoring the Brothers Murph and for these wonderful, beautiful tables. Board game tables are a luxury product, as we said, but for board game tables, they are actually on the cheaper end for a lot of board game tables. Board game tables can go up to like 20 plus grand. These are nowhere near that. And that's also one of the things we like about them. If you have any questions for Artig or about the tables, please let us know down in the comments below and we can answer them, or maybe Artig will answer them and pop them down there. And make sure to follow the link artig.live to check out their website, to check out the tables and the various services that they have. So again, big, big shout out to Artig. Thank you all for being here. Again, make sure to let us know down in the comments below what you like about these tables. Hope you've been enjoying seeing them on camera. You're gonna see them a whole lot more because this is what we're using now. And we've really, really enjoyed working with them. I think they look great on camera, and that's gonna be it. Thank you all so much for being here, and we will see you later. Thank you so much for watching that Artig game table video. Big, big shout out to Artig, who is joining our channel sponsors along with Restoration Games, Board Game Geek, and Garphill Games. Thank you so much, Artig. Yeah, they're really nice tables, y'all. So make sure to check them out down in the description below.